You're the first Thames Water CEO to have given a broadcast interview for at least 10 years. Why has the company been so shy in the past?
Yeah. Well, it's difficult to say why it was shy in the past, but I know why I'm here today. And that's, it's incredibly important for us to make sure we're engaging with our customers. And, guys like you and programs like this are a very important way for us to do that.
Now, one of the things that you've said today is that shareholders aren't going to get a dividend this financial year. Is that a recognition that shareholders have taken too much cash out of the company in the past?
I think it's more to do with the fact that, when we look at where we are today and the challenges that we face as a business, we've got to make difficult decisions about how we use cash. And, we had a pretty big discussion with our board, and there was real unanimity around the table that said what we've got to do is put our customers first, and investing wisely right now is more important than paying dividends.
And the shareholders got that?
The shareholders absolutely were part of that decision and completely endorsed it.
Now, one of the things that you've said today is that you're going to miss your leakage targets again this year.
Yeah.
By when do you expect to start hitting them?
So I think it's going to be 2020 before we get back on target. We had quite an ambitious target, quite a big reduction. And as you say, we missed it last year. So we've got to catch up that work, as well as do everything else that we were going to do. But I'm very confident we're going to be back on track by 2020.
That's 3 years out, though, Steve. That's pretty unacceptable, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, when you look at the thousands and thousands and thousands of kilometres of pipes that we operate, it's a big task. And, the thing with infrastructure businesses is you don't turn on a sixpence. So what's important for us is to make sure we've got the right long-term targets, and then we stick to it. So far, we're on track, and we're going to sustain that effort.
But this means, presumably, you'll resign to another heavy fine this year from Ofwat.
Yeah, I expect there'll be more bad news for us in that sense. But what I want to make sure is that we've set this recovery plan, and that month by month we hit our recovery targets, and then we're going to get there.
Winter of 2016, you had a lot of very high-profile burst water mains. Can you guarantee that isn't going to happen again this winter?
I would love to be able to guarantee that, but I don't think that's realistic. What we've done on the back of those bursts was to take a pretty deep strategic review of those big pipes. And one of the things that we have got to do is to make sure that we respond more quickly and better to those incidents. And we recently had one in Euston, actually, and I'm delighted to say I can actually see real improvements in that space. Beyond that, we're in the middle of sort of our long-term plan just now. And I think over the next 6 to 9 months, we'll be coming back with a plan to really replace probably a significant amount of those pipes.
But again, this poor record on leakage, these bursts, I mean, this is, again, recognition, surely, that the company hasn't invested enough in the past and that shareholders have extracted too much cash out of the business.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult for me in a way to talk about the past, but we also have to accept that we have some legacy issues. So, as the CEO of the business, what I've really got to do is to make sure I've got alignment with our investors, including our new investors, to make sure that we're taking the business forward and actually going to meet those challenges.
You've just announced that you're going to close down 2 Cayman subsidiaries. Why were those businesses there in the first place?
This is sort of way back in the midst of time, I think probably over 10 years ago. And I think at that point in time, they were necessary to set up the financial structure under which the business operates. Today, to be honest, they're of no real importance to the business, and we are going to get rid of them because it sort of gets in the way, even though they have no real practical impact on the way we operate the business. We don't really want to be associated with anything which is less than completely transparent.
Yeah, I mean, it creates a bad look, doesn't it? As does the fact that Thames paid no corporation tax between 2011 and 2015. I mean, that's really unacceptable, isn't it?
Yeah, so, I mean, the corporation tax, I think, is really interesting. When you look at businesses, there's lots of reasons why businesses may not pay corporation tax. And the first thing I would say about our position is that it's not that we're not ever going to pay it. This is deferred. And it's deferred because we've got a very, very large investment programme, and clearly there are government schemes to encourage investment. And very importantly, the benefit of that tax deferral all goes to our customers. none of the benefit will go to investors. It all results in lower bills.
Sorry, how does that work?
So, in effect, if we were paying that tax, obviously we would be paying out more money, and that incremental money that we were paying in terms of tax would be translated into higher bills for our customers. So the great thing about the government scheme is, A, it's good for our investment as a business, and B, it's good for our customers because they will pay lower bills on the back of that.
What about the political backdrop? I mean, it's often said that the rest of the water industry absolutely hates Thames Water because you brought the wrath of Jeremy Corbyn down on the entire sector. He wants to nationalise you all, and it's all because of the way Thames has historically been run.
Well, I'm not sure if that's the case, actually. I've not actually had a chat with Jeremy to find out the origins of his plans. My relationship with other water companies actually is very strong. You know, Thames, of course, we are large and we're important, but we're only one of over 20 water companies in the country. And I think what is important that, as a group, there are many issues that we can cooperate on, and that's what we like to focus on.
But, I mean, would you be open to meeting Jeremy Corbyn?
Of course, I would be open to meeting Jeremy Corbyn. I think it's very important that, just in the way that I'm talking to you, that we as a business are open. And of course we meet Labour politicians, Conservative politicians, Liberal Democrats, and many, other stakeholders. Being open and being transparent and engaging with politicians and perhaps even more importantly, our customers is central to the way that I want to run the business.
Where's this impetus for change come from?
Well, it's an interesting question. I don't think there's a simple answer to that. I think it's partly, a historical place we're at. In a way, when we talk about, for instance, those big trunk mains, it's a bit like your car. You can keep maintaining it. At a point, it's time for a new one. And I think if you look at historically a lot of our infrastructure, we're at that point where we really need to think about renewal. So I think that's part of the impetus. I think partly it's the regulatory environment and the way a regulator is leading the business, which I fully endorse, by the way, the focus on customers. And also I think there's a change in the zeitgeist, the importance of the environment, the challenge of climate change. I think these things combine to say we need to respond in a new and innovative and a different way.
So what would you like to be, how would you like Thames to be viewed, say, 12 months from now, this time next year?
So I think, the first thing is, talk is easy, isn't it? It's easy for me. I'm leading an amazing business. I love it. And I will talk enthusiastically about it. But actually, action is more important. And I think in 12 months' time, I want us to still be on track to recover our leakage target. I want us to have reduced the number of pollutions again, where, over the last 3 or 4 years, we've reduced it by nearly 50%. I want that to continue. And also I wanted to continue engaging with our customers. In the last 6 months, we opened up a fantastic thing in Walthamstow. It's one of Europe's largest urban wetlands. The day it opened, 5,000 local people walked through the gate to experience this fantastic environment. And I want to continue that engagement with our customers. Whether it's that, but also things like, you'll have heard about our famous fatberg.
Yes.
It's very important. The only thing that should go down a toilet is pee, poo, and paper. Remember that, the 3 Ps. We want to avoid those fatbergs. And the way that we can do that is not to lecture, but to engage. So in 12 months' time, I want to see continuing that openness, that transparency, and that customer engagement.